So some of you might be like, who is this person and why does she have the exact same name as my wife? But it's not a Freudian type of thing. It's just happens to be that we met.
First name.
Yeah, yeah. But she's an INTJ, which is why I think it's very special because as many in the community will know, I think it is rare to find a female INTJ.
Yes.
Statistics will prove that out as well. But we she connected with me, and then she saw some of my videos, and I was very flattered to hear that some of what I thought was just kind of inane talking was actually connected with her. So we have gone back and forth about what's a good topic, and I think something that had when we first connected that came up was how the INTJ survives the holidays. And even though right now when we're filming this, the holidays, there's no real holidays, we're kind of reflecting backwards on it. And really turns out any sort of event that's a stressor where you need some strategies for survival, we're going to
People.
talk about. Yeah. So people, it ends up being people, but it's like, it's more than just people. It's like, I gotta have like a way that I can deal with people, but also I need a way that I can safely get out.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the getting out that gives me stress of like awkwardness or like I like that's why I like the Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of that?
So here's the thing. Yes, obviously I am, but I don't feel like I can use it with family
Mm,
because like I think an Irish goodbye works better. So for clarity, just to make sure we're talking about the same thing. When I think Irish goodbye, I think like basically you just ghost. Like you
right.
were there and then you just like see an opportunity, you leave.
Yes.
I do that all the time at like networking, work events, friends, but with family, I feel like you're more beholden to them and they're going to ask you questions about like where did you go, and they're going to
Mm,
text you and be like all of a sudden you're gone. So I feel like I can't use all of my maybe typical strategies with family, which makes it kind of extra to deal with because these are people you're going to see for the rest of your life, at
yes.
least once a year probably.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
that
long
strategy
answer.
only that's and I think what we really want to talk about is like when you have these forced situations where you're keeping to a tradition. We always see each other on Thanksgiving. We always see each other on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could go back and forth and talk about some of the strategies that you've developed to help fellow INTJs, or maybe an INFJ would feel the same
Yeah.
way. ISTJ, any of the introverts, maybe, but specifically the INTJ.
Yeah. Um, let's see. So I am a planner as well. And I don't know if this is more of an INTJ thing or like we talked about too that we were both type 5,
Hmm.
specifically type 5 wing 6 as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is characteristic of me or necessarily the type, but maybe a little bit of both. I see it as a planning beforehand as much as I can, knowing that you can't plan for everything. And then in the moment, having strategies to either maximize what I'm enjoying or temper what
Yeah.
is triggering. And then I hear you saying also an out, which I kind of like that because I'm like, maybe I should add that in more. The only out that I feel like I've added in is recently. So in the last couple of years, my husband and I, instead of staying with family, so when our family is out of town,
Hmm.
like 8 hours. So when we travel to see family, we usually stay at their house. And the last couple of holidays, we've decided, no, we're going to get a hotel. And that has made a big difference because even if it's a hotel in the exact same town, just having a space where you can go away. And it's still, I've got two littles, 4 and 2. So, like, it's not quiet by any means, but just being able to have a spot that you can retreat to makes a big difference. And then, like, just to kind of get away a little bit. So
Right.
that's like an exit strategy that I've recently employed as far as not staying with family when we're
Yeah.
there.
And then on the other side of that, which is the same thing about a retreat space, is that if you go somewhere, it's even easier to be like, oh, they're getting restless, we gotta go.
Exactly.
It's so, I mean, you can use that till they're, I don't know,
Yeah.
8 or 9 years old. They're like, oh, it's time for them to go to bed. It's bedtime. When
Or
you're
I have a
stuck
headache.
there, I have a headache. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that, or
Yeah.
like blame it on the husband, like, oh, he's got a stomach ache. There's a
Yeah.
lot of outs that we can
Uh-huh.
use, and we don't have to feel guilty because like it's the time is over. We spent the time together. It's good to see you all. Gifts have been exchanged, drinks have been had,
Yeah.
stories have been shared, but I think we're just used to getting stuck and then having no plans to get out. And one thing that I always do before, and I think as planning types,
Yeah.
it could be like 3 weeks before. I just gotta psych myself up. You gotta
Yes.
gas yourself up. You gotta be
Yeah.
like, this is gonna be tough. Or maybe we will sleep, make sure we get good rest. Like it's almost
Mhm.
like we're gonna be doing like a battle or something. And that's what I wrote, was like, prepare for battle, because it's gonna be a mental drainage for you. Do you get psyched up? Do you think about it? Do you like, man, this is just prepare yourself?
Um, yes, but I feel like slightly different. And I was going to ask you about this too, because I do most of the Christmas planning as far as organizing with people where we're going to be. Are we bringing food? What kind of presents? What's the age of the kids that we're buying presents for?
Hmm.
Getting those presents, wrapping, packing, putting everything in the car. And I don't want it to sound like my husband doesn't do this because he totally does, but I feel like a lot of that falls onto women probably.
Hmm.
And that extra cycle, like mental load of like,
Yeah.
don't forget all of these things, is more how I see it as pre-planning. So like I'm mostly like psyching myself out for like the extra effort that it's going to be leading into, during, and afterwards, and not so much psyching myself out for like the social aspect. Um, I don't know why. I think that's probably, I don't know. That's just how I kind of
Hmm.
think of it. And like, and that's one of my pro tips is like offload as much as you can. Like so during the holiday seasons, people are always opting into extra things, right? So like work colleagues want to go out for drinks, which is great, but like maybe not when your social calendar is way more full than it normally would be. Or like people wanting to do like secret Santas, like
Oh
friends, like
yeah.
halfway friends, like wanting to do secret Santas, or drives at school, people wanting to sell you stuff. I mean, it's just like things come out of the
Oh
woodwork at that
yeah.
time. And I just like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Like my preset is no. And I just choose not to. Like there are, and sometimes I feel bad about it. I have friends who will send me a Christmas present every year and I do not reciprocate. And it kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety because I feel like I'm beholden to them now. Like they gave me something, I'm not giving it back. But I'm also like, I just can't take on the extra
Yeah.
mental stress of of like a gift wrapping and mailing. Like just that alone is like, can't do it. I'm not going to do that times 5 friends, or I don't have that many friends,
Well,
2
so
friends.
well, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
and it's it's also like the acquaintances that kind of pull you into these secret Santas or things like that.
exactly.
You mentioned something that happens all the time, which is we don't get presents, but we'll get a random Christmas card, like a family card, and we'll be like,
I've never done Christmas
"That is
cards. Screw
so
that.
nice," and
Mm-mm.
why can't? But we've started to do it, so
Have you?
yeah, it, because we have a
Does it
baby now, and
suck?
it's just cute, and I was like, whatever, it's not that expensive, and it is nice to send to people because they're
Yeah.
like they take a picture, say, oh my gosh, like your son is so big, and all those sort of things. But what I
Yeah.
was gonna say is that
But
now
wait, who does it? Let's be really specific here. Who does it? Who does the organizes it all? You or the other Deanna?
the other Deanna does. I
Yeah.
pay. I
Yeah.
pay.
Oh, yeah, that's not
I'm there.
insignificant, but yeah, you show up
I
for the
smile
photo.
big. I look
Yeah.
good. I clean up for it. I don't have like this 5 o'clock shadow. But here's the thing, and this is a very specific INTJ feeling. It's because of our FE being so low. Is like
Mm,
we now feel that since you've sent something to us, you said behold, but we're burdened
yeah.
because of you. But
Yes.
I believe that's the wrong feeling.
I
Even though
agree,
we just like,
but I
thanks,
still
dude.
think it.
Now I gotta send you something. So thanks a lot. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe it should be like, oh my gosh, I should be sending stuff to people. I'm so inconsiderate. Do you feel that, or do you feel like I have to reciprocate even though I don't even care about you?
It feels like like I owe like a balance.
Yes.
And so it's not an emotional thing, at least for me, right? It's not like I feel guilty so much, maybe a little bit, but mostly what it is like an unbalanced checkbook. And I feel like if you're giving me these things, I need to be equally reciprocating.
Hmm.
And if I can't do that, and that is a big reason why, like, I've kind of gotten over this in the past because basically I was like, I'm thinking about this way too much. Nobody cares this much. But I used to be like kind of stressed out when people would want to do presents and then we couldn't mutually agree upon like how much we're going to spend.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I felt like I need to spend an equal amount on you. Or if we spend an equal amount, but clearly their present is much more thoughtful and mine is like a gift card. I felt
Yeah.
like that was like unequal. So it really stressed me out to kind of think through all the potential. Because again, this is a gift that you don't know that you're getting until you open it up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like judging, is my gift as good as their gift? So like that's why it has saved me a lot of mental sanity just to like minimize how many people I'm buying presents for and as few as possible. And I've even gone through like the mental cycles of like, gifts aren't like, they're just stressors. They don't add anything. Because that's the other thing. Most people give me stuff that I don't care about. And then I have to fake that I like it. And I'm not trying to be mean, like, but it's just like,
You're harsh.
oh, do people
No,
buy
but
you stuff that you like? I feel like most of the time I get like
um,
trinkets.
I
I
think
feel like
it's
people buy stuff just to like give you something.
yeah. I guess I can't really think. I'm not saying you're harsh, like oh my gosh, bad person. I'm just saying
No, I know. Both can
I
be
guess
true.
you're just running through your internal dialogue for us, which
Yeah.
is great because I think that it's helpful to hear this for people. They're like, oh, I guess this like maybe I've never
I'm not
thought
crazy.
or just that other people will be like, yeah, this is my
Yeah.
same thing. I'm not a bad person. I always try to examine like where that comes from with us. That sort of like, well, maybe it's because we never tell people what we like.
I tell people every year, buy me books.
Oh,
I keep a list on Amazon of
okay,
all
well,
the
that's
books
their
that I want to
fault.
have. But people are bored with buying books every year. They're like, can't you want
Oh.
something else? And I'm like, please, do you want? That's mostly my brother, but but no, I feel like I get things like, I don't know, like decoration stuff for the house.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't really care about that. Um,
I mean,
Clothes is
you
like
have
a very hard thing to buy for other people. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm very
yeah,
specific about the way clothes
socks. Go
are.
for socks.
Socks are
Socks
great.
are universal. They'll fit.
You can't go wrong with socks. People always need more socks. I know people kind of give socks a bad rap, but I feel like that's a good present. Also, food things, right?
Good, or are you saying good or bad?
Good, because I'm kind of a minimalist besides the books.
Yeah,
So
same.
I want to like get rid of stuff. So like a lot of the times when people give me things that
Clutter,
just clutter, take up
yes.
space, and it's like, I don't want all of this. And then I just end up holding on to it for like a year until it's like okay for me to throw it away.
Yeah,
Um, but things that I'm going to eat, yeah, I'll eat it. Like
yeah. Or
also
I'll take
alcohol.
gift.
Alcohol is a great
Okay,
gift.
this is good segue or
Segue.
segue. Um, because do you think, and I wrote this down when we were
Yeah.
planning this interview, is alcohol a good escape when you know you're going to be stuck somewhere to like, okay, well, at least I'll be able to drink, so that'll help. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
You want me to answer first,
Yeah,
or you want to answer first?
go ahead.
It is a very effective short-term solution and a very ineffective long-term solution. So like it's so easy to use it as your only like lever for I'm feeling uncomfortable and this is how I'm going to socially solve my awkwardness and like just to like kind of relax and let loose a little bit more is I'm going to have a drink, and it's totally effective, and I'm like I'm totally there for things that are just going to be easy and repeatable. But if it's your only mechanism, you will become an alcoholic. And I kind of, so my dad was actually an alcoholic, so like
Okay.
I can recognize like patterns and everything, even in myself, right? But it's also because of that, both my side and my husband's side, nobody drinks, which is like kind of extra when we're there because I just want to like relax and have a drink with dinner, and there's no alcohol in the house. So that's another reason why we kind of like the hotel, because then it's like, all right, we've had a long day. Let's go to the hotel, like have a little appetizer and some drinks, and then, go to bed. And it's like relaxing. So I would say it's a great strategy, but it's a short-term strategy, not a long-term strategy. And if it's the only one you're using, you're probably using it too heavily.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying don't do it at all, because it's totally effective. But if I were to tell you can't, would your world explode?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, because last year I gave up alcohol for the whole year, so I
That's
definitely
right.
know
Yeah.
it's like it's not hard to do. I mean, it is hard to do, but um, I guess I'm more thinking like because it's funny because so many fights during family outings are because people are
Mm.
drinking. Like
And see, I don't
this,
experience that because nobody on
right?
my side. But yeah,
So
tell
it's
me
like
more.
obviously it's like if you're especially for these like all day long things. We're gonna
Yeah.
show up early and we're gonna cook the whole day. Like you have some wine and drinks, and then people are like, let's do some shots and stuff. But then all of a sudden, like everyone's pretty hammered, and now someone's gonna say some family member is gonna say something
Mm.
about something that happened 20 years ago, and now we're into a spot we don't want to be in, and everyone's trying to calm people down.
Yeah.
But it's like, I
A lot
guess
of drama.
it's a lot of drama, and I guess like let's assume. I want to ask a question about
Yeah.
zooming out because one of our so my wife's an ESTJ, ISTJ. I don't know. What's your husband?
ENTJ, pretty sure.
ENTJ. Okay. So you guys will probably be on the same page with certain things, but like the SI types tend to be like traditional things. So
Yeah.
and especially when they come from a family like my wife does where they're very structured and we always get together. Do you it's hard to relationship wise to say like how about we just don't do any of that stuff? What if we just didn't celebrate these things
To
or
change the
to
pattern.
change it? Have
Yeah.
you decided that let's just not even have to deal with this whole survival checklist and just get rid of these traditions altogether? Have you done that?
So to say it back to you, you're saying some of the family traditions are the stressors.
Right.
And instead of me trying to come up with how am I going to make it easier for myself to deal with these traditions, what if we just scrapped the traditions altogether?
And chose something more like let's just go out to dinner
Yeah.
on a day so we can all get together, but we don't have to have the stress of like who's bringing at what time and who's in
Yeah.
gift exchange. What do you think? Have you done that? Is what I'm saying.
I have, yes. So I have suggested little things like, not like, I think it would, whenever you're doing something that have a lot of different opinions involved, especially family, I feel like you can't just be like, I'm going to come in and change everything and this is my plan, right? Because that upsets people. But you can kind of suggest little things. And I think something that the INTJ is good at is variables and equations and like looking at all of these different perspectives and saying, if we did this, it would meet kind of everyone's needs.
Right.
Not necessarily like social planning, but if you kind of think of it like an equation, like I think INTJs are good at like picking apart the pieces and being like, I think this would work. So maybe not necessarily planning the whole day because that would be stressful for me, but like a small thing like, how about this year instead of trying to cook, there's a new restaurant. Can we
I was
try
just
it?
gonna say that.
Because then it doesn't sound like I haven't been enjoying all these years in the past, but there's a new thing I'd love to try with you guys. So it's like focusing on the positive.
Right.
And then I think people would be willing to kind of jump onto that. We've done a couple of things. Honestly, I can't remember whose suggestions they were, but like we used to buy presents for everyone, like aunts, uncles,
Yeah.
kids, grandparents, everyone who was going to be there, we'd be buying a present for. And it very quickly got out of hand. And so then we changed it to doing like a drawing where we draw names. So you're only buying presents for like one or two people
Oh,
and
nice.
then vice versa. So that was a small change that we were like, hey, how about we try this? And we're open to feedback. And some people decided they liked it or didn't like it. Like the parents were like, no, we want to buy presents for everyone, right? And so they opt out, but like everyone else is down for it. So like little things like that, I think are good. I also have in my family, my sister-in-law is vegetarian, and the rest of
My
my family is
condolences.
all from like who?
My condolences.
Oh, so yes, the rest of my family is all from like heavily North Dakota, Minnesota area. So like
Okay.
hunting
Right.
is a religion almost.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want any meat. And that meat is like a way for people in that area to bond.
Yeah.
So she has had a hard time trying to be like, can we have fresh fruit? Can we have fresh veggies? Like, can we blah, blah, blah. But even I think like, so I'll make a point of like bringing stuff, like just some variety of food. Like that's just like a small thing.
Right.
But I think it makes a big difference just in, I don't know, kind of changing up making everyone feel
Yeah.
comfortable, including myself.
So that's
I don't
the
know if that
biggest.
answers your
No, it
question.
does. It does because you essentially said exactly what I was thinking of, which was the small thing you can change is we just said we're going to cater Christmas.
Mm,
So no one's gonna have to worry about bringing stuff or who's gonna be contributing more. And like honestly, like someone's gonna get stuck doing all the cooking,
hmm
and that
hmm
person's gonna be pissed. So they're just like, why don't we just cater? Everyone can Venmo each other,
Yeah.
and you can pick everything from the menu, and then it comes there, and then or it's bought the day before or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great
That
idea.
changes everything. And you basically said you can do the same thing. Like, hey, there's this new restaurant. They
hmm
cater. What if we just did this so no one has to worry about X? And then they're like, unless someone like has a specific preference.
But even in that case, if they're picking from the menu what they want,
Yeah.
that's a great idea because then it's kind of like everyone is getting a little bit of their own choice.
Okay. So we had done some pre talking about this, and you said something about exercising.
Oh yeah. So
How did
this is
explain
out of
this to me?
character.
Because I was like I want to see what she says. So tell me about that.
So yes. Um he- I let me preface first. I do not like exercising.
Okay.
But I am starting to realize as a pattern, while I hate the pre up leading up to me deciding to exercise, I don't mind exercising in and of itself. And then afterwards, I feel better. So I am trying to reframe my brain to thinking of exercising as alone time because for the most part, when I'm exercising, like I've got headphones on, nobody's touching me because again, I have kids, little
Right.
kids. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly being touched and I'm constantly hearing like mama, mama, mama.
Yeah.
So going for a quick 20-minute run is pretty much alone time. And the reason why I think it's like it's my new hack, we'll see if it works because again, I'm when we go and visit families in North Dakota and it's like very cold, like -20 there when we go for Christmas. And so like it's kind of hard to go for a run at that temperatures, but we'll see.
Mm.
But the whole idea that I'm thinking is it's a perfect excuse because who in your family is going to be like okay, let me give you an if I wanted to say to my family like, you know what, I'm just a little bit tapped out and I think I'm going to go to a bookstore and I'm just going to peruse the books for an hour. They would be like, are you serious? Like you
Yeah.
drove 8 hours to be here. You're only going to see you for 3 days. You're going to leave?
Yeah.
But if I said, I've been going for running or going for runs
Every
and
single day.
I'm going to take a 20-minute run in the morning real quick after breakfast. They'll be like, amazing, good for you.
See you
And
when you
like,
get back.
it's kind of like an equivalent amount of little bits of alone time without sounding like a complete D-bag to your family
Yeah.
because then they think you're like, oh, you're being so healthy. And like you are being healthy, but it's like a socially acceptable out.
Yeah, and you definitely can't say, I'm just gonna go nap. Because that's the other
Yes.
one.
Yes, although napping should be encouraged,
Oh man.
especially for parents of littles, which I know you have right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that's a if relatives offer you a nap and say, "We'll watch the kids, go take a nap," take it. I'm serious. Take it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's almost a necessity. That's just a parental hack, is if you can take a
Yeah.
nap, that's
Do
that's essential. Um,
100%.
and then I don't think I think I can't think of anything else that I would say is like essential to surviving the holidays. But TE types, so like me, you, my wife, your husband,
Mm,
control the situation is essential. When if you can control all as many variables as possible
yeah.
is essentially the key here. So what is it again? It's one is controlling your mindset. I would start like just
Yeah.
preparing, getting mindset.
Yeah.
If you can control the environment, either where you're going and then how you can get out of that,
When you
or
can leave.
when
Yeah.
you can leave. Um, Food, controlling I would the suggestion, but also trying to control the situation. Like suggesting, what
Yeah.
if we did this? It's really cool. I want it with you.
Yeah.
As you said, like I want you guys to try this.
Yeah. Well, and this last Christmas season, because usually we're visiting for a couple of days, and like you said, it's kind of like an all day thing. Like you're just there and you just kind of sit around and talk and eat. And parts of that are fun. You get to see everyone and it's interesting, but then it's like parts of it are not fun. So I also have strategies about like who in the room is someone that I can have an energy building conversation with. And when I feel myself like getting really low, I can try to spark up a conversation with them about something that kind of like peps me up a little bit more versus someone in the room that I know is the person who's going to drain me the most.
Right.
And I'm going to try to limit my exposure to them. Or I think if when your spouse is down for this is perfect. But if you beforehand say like, this is my cue, like this is my
Safe word.
like a silent, exactly. But ideally it's something you can do across the room without words, because a lot of the times you get like, or at least on my side, you get separated and you've been like kind of like stalked out with an aunt or an uncle that you're 20 minutes into a conversation about World War II that you never wanted to have in the first place. And so to have like, to look over at your spouse and kind of to do like and then they can come save you, I think is very nice, especially if you have, so I use my husband like a social buffer because he doesn't enjoy it, but he's much better at it than I am. So he's much more willing to like, he'll come in, kind of take over the conversation, and I can just kind of say, I'm going to go get a water and not come back.
Yeah.
That might be kind of an Irish goodbye.
It's sort of, yeah, you're not coming back. But I mean,
it's like a soft version.
People understand that. It's a networking event. You're like, hey, I'm gonna go get a drink, and they're like, okay, we'll see you later. And they're not they're not gonna wait for you to come back.
Family doesn't. Sometimes there's like you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe it's just my family.
It could be yours, but I think it's just, this is a good topic because I don't think it's been discussed on YouTube before, at least for the INTJ, or it kind of blurs into other types. But one thing I was discussing with an ISTP friend of mine, and this is kind of off topic, but might make some sense, is that I have just for social situations gone, what would this type do? And my type's always like an ESFP or an ENFP. Like, let's just masquerade for a little bit. Like, let's just be them for a little bit of time, because any type can mimic any type for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And then when you revert back to yourself, you have an escape plan to get out.
Sure.
People get confused by that because I've been called like an ENTJ before, but it's like, no, it's just I've learned how to adapt.
Yeah.
But it helps me get out of things. It helps.
Yeah.
Because if you just
like a mask, a social mask.
If you come in with your real self, you might just alienate everyone.
True.
Which will serve the same goal of people not being around you, but it doesn't build, especially with family, like you said, they'll be like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And that's really not what we want there. So do you have anything else to add for the audience?
In general, or on that specifically?
In general. Just any other tips?
Well, okay, yes. So everything we've just described, I feel like is holiday related, but I also have been trying to kind of like hijack, lowjack, I don't know what the right word is, myself, as far as like what are things that I find triggering, which are of course heightened during the holidays, but just in general. And how can I very specifically for myself just help it improve it by like 1 or 2%, and like stacking those things together can kind of add up much more. I've noticed, so this is going to sound like obvious, but it does make a big difference. Drinking enough water. I forget. Okay, so this is probably, I feel like INTJs will relate with this. I like to think of my body like a machine, and sometimes I forget that it needs any attention at all. And so I'll forget to eat. I'll forget to drink. I'll forget to,
go to the bathroom.
I don't know. Yeah, literally go to the bathroom, but also like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm really cold, but I won't do anything about it, right? I'll just sit there and endure the cold, or I'm really hot and I won't do anything about it. So sometimes I'm trying to like draw myself kind of back into my body, and then just asking myself the question like, but would it make me feel better, like more comfortable if I made myself a warm beverage. And I was kind of thinking about that because I did this like experiment with myself because I definitely found a correlation between holding a drink, like scotch is my go-to, holding a scotch and enjoying it and feeling relaxed. And I was like, what if I was holding instead like a tea or like a warm beverage or a warm beverage or a cold beverage, depending
Yeah.
on my temperature. And I found that having any drink at all help besides water, no offense to water, anything that feels like I'm kind of giving myself like a little gift had a similar relaxation response. And so then that kind of gave me a chance to say, I still enjoy scotch, obviously, but like maybe I've already had a couple scotches. Now I'm going to have a chai or something like that. And it's still like just having a beverage in my hand makes me feel more relaxed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like I little like low jacks on my life. Like wearing comfortable clothing because I feel like at the holidays, like I'm always like, oh, I should wear like that nice sweater that I got in case we take pictures, and then I'm uncomfortable all freaking day. So I've just said like no to all of that, and I wear comfy clothes like hoodies and yoga pants and jeans. Like I'm not gonna dress up.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be or uncomfortable shoes for women. Like I kicked heels to the curb like years ago, and I've never looked back. I'm never gonna wear heels again. Those are little things, right? But a big thing that I have figured out for like every day. Okay, so these are my new life hacks, like in the last year. Earbuds make a huge difference. Because in general, I have a noise sensitivity. Christmas, yes, but even like grocery stores are a particular
I've
kind of
seen
hell.
this trend, and I'm like, what are these people? They listening to music the whole time?
Well, yeah. So I used to do music, but now that I have kids, I can't. So I used to, if I had to go anywhere out in public, I had headphones on, large headphones that everybody can see because I don't want people to try and talk to me either because then I have to take out that bud and be like, I'm sorry, what? Like, why are you talking to me? But if I've got big ones that people can see, people don't try to talk to you. And to me, that's great. But when I have children with me, I can't just completely tune them out, but I can get earbuds that will modify the noise that I'm hearing to make it just like a little bit less.
That is a sensitivity.
Yes. And so do you not feel triggered going to like the grocery store?
No, I'm triggered by sudden noises while I'm focusing. It makes me angry. But like I've read other INTJs like it's noise sensitive, but also like certain colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't like the grocery stores because it's everything, right? The lights are bright. There's packaging and like all this advertising that's calling for your attention. It's like 100 different colors and fonts and shapes. Yeah. The traffic pattern of grocery stores, there are no rules. People are not paying attention and they're hitting you with their carts. And at the same time, you're trying to look for stuff that you need to buy. And then some grocery stores too have like loudspeakers where they're like price check on aisle 4, like all of these things. So earbuds have made a big difference for me, and I like get nice earbuds. So I recently got like the Calmer by Audio Flare.
Okay.
You can still hear everything, so it's not like a noise canceling. It just modifies what you're hearing. It's weird how much of a difference it makes. And then I haven't gotten them. They're supposed to ship like soon, so I should have them soon. But I got like actual earplugs for like sleeping too.
Oh yeah.
And then some that are a little bit more. They call them ear shade, but it's like it basically makes all the noises quite a bit less, so it's like more significant. And that helps me with kids because sometimes I'll reach like a level like it's about 4 or 5 hours in if I'm watching the kids by myself, where I suddenly it's like too much and they're too loud and mommy becomes like a trigger word for me and everything. And so I'll put my earbuds in. I can still hear them, but it's much, much, much quieter. Makes a huge difference.
Probably alters the frequency that it hits you. Interesting. I'm gonna have to ask you after. I'm gonna post that link to that first thing you said, which was the Flare Cloud.
The Calmer. Audio Flare is the brand.
Nice.
And Calmer was specifically made for people with audio or sensitivities. noise sensitivities. And then,
interesting. Okay.
so that is one thing. The other thing that I recently got, I'm looking around, I don't have it in front of me. What's it called? Apollo Neuro. So it's like a little device. And it's like yay big. You can wear it on your wrist. I usually wear it on my ankle. And it just emits vibrations, and it's supposed to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Helps you feel more relaxed. And this is another one. I spent a really long time looking at it because they're not cheap. I spent a really long time looking at it and thinking, like, is this dumb or is this like insanely smart? And not being able to really sure how to tell. But it's kind of like, for me, what I'm looking at is I'm trying to tell, like, when are times that I feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable about noise. How can I control noise? Or I feel uncomfortable about being touched. And I might not be able to control, like, I don't want to be shoving my kids away, right? Because I don't want them to have more therapy than they need in their future.
Absolutely.
But I also am like, well, then what can I control in this situation? And if I can control, like, the vibration, like, it can be something soft and soothing and calming, and it just kind of like centers you in your body and makes I can't explain it, but I feel like it does make a difference.
Wait, have you used it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did buy it.
I did. And the only reason I'm not taking it out and showing to you, I have it clipped to the inside of my sports bra right now.
Got it.
So it's like,
do you have to play?
It vibrates against your chest bone.
So that's where it has to go.
No. You can wear it on your wrist or your ankle, or like, you can clip it on the inside of your clothes. It's wherever it's close enough to you can feel it like vibrating against your bone. And it's supposed to be enough that you notice it if you think about it, but you stop noticing it when you're not thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if you were just like walking, it could trigger, and you wouldn't be like, wait, my phone, like, no, it's not like a phone vibration.
It is like a sort of ish, which is why I don't like wearing it on my wrist, because then I have like an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And if I feel a vibration on my wrist, I correlate it with I'm getting a notification, which is another thing. I turned off all the notifications on my wrist because I found out that it was low key stressing me out to feel vibrations on my wrist all the time that are like bing reminders. Obviously, so like, here's another one. Do you keep your phone on silent, like, all the time?
No, I don't.
Or do you have it on ringer?
I have it on vibrate.
Okay. Oh, that's what I mean. Sorry.
Oh,
like,
because some people do have it on do not disturb all day.
I do. So those people don't have kids.
Right. Or they're not in a sales role where, like, someone
Also
might
true.
actually need to reach them.
They can't get fired. Yeah. I have mine on do not disturb at night.
Me too. Yes.
Because I don't want to be bothered at night.
Yes.
But I never have mine on ringer. And people who have their phones, like, every time they get a text or an email, it like, I don't understand. Yeah.
Are you insane or hard
all
hearing?
of those, exactly. And then they leave it running. Anyway, all of those things I minimized, and then I kind of controlled the things that I could control. Sorry, did that answer your question about the Apollo Neuro device? Yeah.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
I can send you a link to that one too. That's another one that I recently got. And I do feel like it is making, again, you can control, like, do I want to have a more upbeat vibe, something to help me feel more energized? Or do I want something to help me feel more relaxed?
Wow. I got to post. So I think it sounds like we got two items.
At least two.
Post, at least two. And then if
I'm not being paid. But if they want to send me free samples, I'll totally take them.
I mean, we could try to get a paid sponsorship for this video. I know all the advertisers want to throw their revenue at a channel that has less than 3,000 subscribers, but hey, could be.
I don't know what I feel like there's a market for it though. Like, everyone who has these kind of sensitivities, like, I've definitely seen. Well, at least I've heard INTJs picking up the glasses that are like slightly shaded, for like, especially for fluorescent lights. But I feel like
not the blue light blocker.
I have, correct, not the blue light blocker, although sometimes that works well too. I have one of those. But what I'm talking about is the ones that are like, you can see them. They almost look like almost sunglasses, like they're like shaded.
I've seen those. Okay.
But
yeah, like the transition lenses, but different. Okay.
it's meant to help. So they're specifically marketed towards people who get migraines from fluorescent lights.
Oh, okay.
But in today's post-COVID world, I feel like most people who can work from home do, and you can kind of control the lights a little bit better when you're working from home, which is a huge plus.
Yeah.
So I've never really felt like I needed to invest in glasses necessarily, but like
I
when I
see.
go outside, I'm wearing sunglasses as a weird example.
All the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not those crazy people that just drive without sunglasses. Like, what are you doing, bro?
I don't understand. My husband can do that. He's like, you just, and I was like, like, I feel like I'm
Just
being
classic
attacked,
ENTJ. Just stare. I'll stare at the sun.
literally. Yeah. And then I'm
Um,
trying to think of other life hacks. If you have a second, I have a couple.
sure.
The only other ones that I'm experimenting with right now is magnesium, which is supposed to be like calming. And I specifically use it to try and help with restless legs, which I have at night. And I feel like that does help. And then recently, too, I started taking like this vitamin that's like a CBD extract. So it's not THC at all, but
Mhm.
it's just CBD. And I can't say that I've noticed a difference,
Yeah,
but
you,
sometimes
you
I feel
you
like it's
don't.
just a placebo effect. And like sometimes that's enough to just make me feel like I'm
Yeah.
doing everything that I can. Yeah.
I've done like there's a specialized brand of like they're just nighttime relax, but they have CBD
Yeah.
and other stuff. It's weird because I magnesium there's like that Calm brand is pretty
Yeah.
popular. It's just like that. I don't know if that it's supposed to help, but also like I take like a this pre-workout. It's not even a pre-workout. It's just sodium, magnesium, potassium. It's salt. It's so
Yeah.
salty.
Yeah.
Element. Have you heard Element?
I haven't heard of it, but
Okay,
I've heard of, yeah,
but
sodium
it's
magnesium.
like it's so salty. I love it. I love it, but also has a lot of magnesium in it. I'm like, well, this is like supposed to be like hydration performance, but also magnesium. So I'm not sure like if there's a certain level of necessary and then more than that is relaxing. How that works, but that's probably for a different
Me
discussion.
either, but I think a lot of it is just like nutrients that we don't have in our bodies that we don't even realize we're missing.
Right.
Like I noticed how much better I felt when I was just taking like a multivitamin. And so I try to remember to take a multivitamin because, and that kind of goes in the hydration category,
Yeah,
like little
always. Oh my
things
God.
that make a huge difference if I can just like low key manage my body. Like I'm not a health nut by any means, but if I can make sure I have enough enough water every day and like variety in my diet, it makes a huge difference for my
I think that's
brain.
a perfect place to start. And then our next video for
Yeah.
whoever is still watching now will be why the INTJ needs to drink more water. Very niche topic, but I can go off. I can go off on my experiences with being dehydrated and how it like I thought like I was something was wrong with me, and it's just discovered I was
So dehydrated.
so dehydrated, but such a long period of time, like months and months of just getting not enough water every day, and then there's a certain point where you're like something's wrong with me. So
I
we can
had
talk about
headaches
that.
for years
Yeah, it's
and it was
that.
water related.
It's it's so
Like I
funny.
started drinking water and they went away. And I was like,
That's the whole
fuck, that was,
NI
there goes years of my life.
that right. That's the whole NISI thing, like checking in with yourself. Like
Yeah.
I've just been dehydrated for so long, but just kind of ignored it. And like
Hmm.
it, ISTJ flip that around would be like very cognizant of their body's dehydration and tiredness and headaches and cold and warm. So
That's crazy.
let's just stop there. And
Yeah,
I think we should do another video. But Deanna, thanks for the time. Um,
absolutely.
and if other INTJs or any tips that you want to add in the comment section, everyone please respond. But Deanna, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks.